Wright from the Seattle Seahawks, and you're watching NORBFAM.
Ken Easley of the Seattle Seahawks, and you're watching NORBFAM.
I'm DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks, and you're watching NORBFAM.
What's up, everybody? This is NORBFAM coming at you live for the final NORBFAM 2024 mock draft. The draft is tomorrow. Can't believe it, less than 24 hours away. We will be finding out what the Seahawks plan to do in this 2024 season. At least the first round already within 24 hours. It's going to be exciting. But we are doing a special presentation today. One final mock draft involving the members of Discord getting their input as playing the parts of the 31 GMs, 32 GMs really. Although 31 teams are only picking because I believe it's the Browns who aren't picking in the first round. Anyway, we're going to get into all that. So welcome. Thanks again for tuning in. My name is Norb Kawili, NORBFAM. If you're new to the channel, I'd love it if you would subscribe, hit that notification bell so you will always be aware anytime a new video comes out. And yeah, let's get this thing going on. We got a lot of teams to get through. I don't know what the team has picked. I'm literally kind of playing commissioner here, and at the same time having my partner in crime here. It's not the same faces that you normally see when we do a Hawks Real Talk, as Nick LeBeau and Sky High Aviation couldn't make it this time, but we are going to have our draft expert right here, Cameron Hughes. Cameron, who's been on the show many times and knows quite a bit when it comes to the knowledge of pre-draft players. In fact, Cameron was one of the few who had the Seahawks picking Devin Witherspoon in the first round last year, right, Cameron?
Yeah, that was awesome. Since like November of 2022, I've been watching him, and he was my favorite prospect in the draft, so that was awesome.
I mean, myself, along with so many other people, thought Jalen Carter was going to be the definitive, obvious first-round pick, and you went against the grain. And as soon as they picked it, it's like, oh man, Cameron got it right. Cameron got it right. So, you, and just to be clear here, so you are not the one who's picking. You're kind of our breakdown guy. I'm, calling it out. But again, we've got the involvement here. I'm going to bring up my screen as we do this. We've got a nice slideshow put together here behind the scenes for Discord from Rishi H. Roshi R15H1 Vibes on Discord. He got together the guys over at Discord and got GMs, guys that play the GMs, and he put together this beautiful slideshow and to help with organizing this whole event. So I'll be reading off the different Discord, identifying which Discord GM made the call. We'll break it down, show the pick, show some stats and analysis of it while Cam talks about this player, and we'll just kind of go through each one at a time and see what we think of it about it. And of course, when it comes to the 16th pick where the Seahawks are selecting, we'll get into it a little bit more detail. And at the end of it all, open the phone lines up and the Discord stream as well to allow you guys to give your thoughts and opinions about what the Seahawks should do at 16 as we lead into tomorrow. So welcome everybody here. Hey, Brendan is here. Brendan, what's going on? I just talked to him not more than a couple hours ago. Brendan, good to see you on here. Daniel, Barry Sports Highlights, Big Roy Plumbing. Rishi himself, the man who put us all together, is in the chat as well. So keep putting your chats up. You can react to it as the picks come in. And we'll break this thing down as we go and get your immediate reactions to this mock draft of 2024, the last NORBFAM mock draft. Again, just to remind everybody, all the picks you're about to see were made, and the GMs were all contacted through the Discord and the NORBCore Discord server, which I put a link in the chat if you want to go check it out and be a part of our fun little community. We are not doing any trades, as Rishi is saying in the comments. Not time for that. It's really just a first round. Every team that's in the first round pattern will pick a team. And so I will stop it at one round. Otherwise, this will be an all-night affair. All right, so let's do this thing. Sarah, what's going on? Let's see. Let's get to the first slide. So here we go. We're off and rolling from 2024 final mock draft. All right, here we go with the first pick in the 2024 mock draft. The Chicago Bears pick up, no big surprise here, quarterback Caleb Williams from USC. General manager Darkness D1 RKNESS made the pick. Cameron, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is not a surprise here. This is definitely going to happen. He's definitely my favorite player, not player, but quarterback in the draft by far. I wouldn't call him Patrick Mahomes just because he's still a work in progress. Like he struggles with reading his fields, going through his progressions. He doesn't struggle with it. He's just not as polished. So he's definitely a work in progress still. Like he's not a day one gonna come in and light it up, right? But if you build around him, you let him play right away, let him get that experience. Like I think he can be like Aaron Rodgers level player. Like really impressive. The first bullet point up here, great arm talent, can manipulate ball to make any throw. That is so accurate. Like incredible arm talent, like Aaron Rodgers-esque. So.
Yeah, that's a big step, man, to compare to Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. And you just wonder, with such high expectations on the number one pick being so obvious, is it possible that they got it wrong, that this guy could end up being a bust and all the critics are just completely off on the radar? Or do you think this is a pretty sure thing for the Bears?
Well, I'm a sicko. I watched the first couple picks of the 2012 draft, and I just remember them talking about the first three picks were can't miss. And it was Andrew Luck, RG3, and Trent Richardson, and all three of them. Andrew Luck got injured, but I remember them calling him the best quarterback or best NFL prospect since John Elway. So you never know, really.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's keep moving along so we can get through this list in efficient time. All right, with the let's see, here we go. With the second pick in the NORBFAM NFL draft, the Washington Commanders select quarterback Jaden Daniels, LSU. General manager Captain Shamu with the pick. Cameron.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Jaden Daniels just because he's just not my style of quarterback. My style is more, Geno Smith, Caleb Williams, sit in the pocket and throw the ball. He is more – Robert Griffin makes sense. He is a tuck and run. He's not looking to extend the play. He's just a tuck and run kind of guy. But he's, elite at running the ball. Like, it's really impressive. There's this one run against Florida where he just outruns the entire defense, just, maneuvering his way through the holes. It's incredible. But he does not throw from the pocket that often. I think I can't remember the stat, but he charted every single one of Jaden Daniels' throws, and at 38% was stand in the pocket and throw, right? And then the next highest at 37 was tuck and run. And I think he said that was the only quarterback he's ever charted that was under 40% in that stat, if that makes sense. So not a pocket passer, and I just I question whether or not that translates to the NFL. I think Robert Griffin's a pretty good comp there. So yeah, not my cup of tea, but I get I get it.
It's funny that you just mentioned Robert Griffin III, and as we all know, not exactly having the blockbuster career coming out of that 2012 draft as many projected he would. Again, both him and Andrew Luck suffering from the injury bug that really kind of shortchanged both those guys and really never saw their full potential. But one of the abilities they got to have is availability, and if you're not on the field, you're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah,
all right,
and that's go ahead.
All right, well, we'll keep this thing moving along here. So, where are we here? All right, we've got the third pick in the NORBFAM NFL 2024 mock draft. The New England Patriots select the suspense. Quarterback, Drake May from North Carolina. General manager, Captain Shamu, also with that pick right there. Cameron.
Yeah, so kind of same thing with Daniels. I think he's a good quarterback prospect. I just think he's very I think Justin Herbert's a pretty good comparison just because they're not playing in NFL schemes in college. So they'll have to make an adjustment coming to the NFL, but it might be a little bit tougher for May just because he's such a raw prospect, in my opinion. I think this is how the top three play out. I think they got it right. But yeah, he's Josh Allen kind of prospect. If you remember Josh Allen, he would throw some crazy interceptions. So yeah, I mean, I have him and Daniels as I think my third and fourth quarterbacks. So yeah, but I think this is how the draft does go.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You mentioned in 2012, the first three picks here, quarterbacks. It's not very often you get three quarterbacks in the first three picks. It's going to be interesting to see how all these three do when we look back in 2024 and see how these guys do 3, 4, 5 years from now. Oh, you know what that means. All right, with the fourth pick in the 2024 final NORBFAM mock draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver, Ohio State. General manager Ivan with the pick. Cameron.
Yeah, he's a little bit bigger than his dad, but he's probably the best route runner in this draft. A lot of people have him behind Malik Neighbors, though, which that makes no sense to me. I think Marvin Harrison is one of the best receiver prospects to ever come out of college. He is really impressive. Incredible route runner. If you see some of his route running reps, it's super impressive. And his body his hips do things that most people just can't do. So a really good pick. I think he does end up going to Arizona, which sucks. I don't want to see him playing in Lumen Field. Yeah. So, yep.
Yep. It's definitely at least early on, a very strong offensive draft. And as we continue down the line, with the number 5 pick in the 2024 NORBFAM mock draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select. Where is it? Oops. Sorry, I forgot to bring that stat up.
Oh, yeah.
Malik Neighbors, wide receiver, LSU, general manager, Yuka. Cameron.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors, he's good. I think I have Rome Odunze just a little bit above him, but I wanted to not pull it up, but Daniel Jeremiah has him as his highest graded prospect in the entire draft with a 6.68 draft grade, which I think is what is it? That's a year one starter, perennial All-Pro. So that's insane talent. He played with Jaden Daniels, so he was his main target. So 2 LSU guys going in the top 5. But yeah, very explosive. He's probably a little bit more explosive than just a better athlete than Odunze. But Odunze, I think, has got him beat in the with just ball skills. So yeah, Malik Neighbors to the Chargers with Justin Herbert. That's going to be a problem. So I think the Chargers might go offensive line here. Jim Harbaugh, I don't know if he's going to run the ball like he did at Michigan, but I don't think they're going to be a spread offense. So yeah, it's a good pick for them.
Okay, let's keep moving along here. All right, with the number 6 pick in the NORBFAM 2024 NFL mock draft, the New York Giants select Rome Odunze, Washington, GM the Paper Portal. Talk to me.
Yeah, I like this pick. It's Rome Odunze. I think this is a best player available pick. None of their quarterbacks were available. I think if Jaden Daniels or Drake May fall to 6, I think they would happily take him, just because I don't think they're fully committed to what's his name? Daniel Jones. But Rome Odunze, like, yeah, very fluid. I don't know if you remember, but that Cal game last year, he returned his only punt of the season, and it went for a touchdown. Like,
Yeah.
His running style. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, his running style is very unique. He's got that like a gallop. It's crazy. But yeah, long speed is an issue. Explosiveness, I don't know if I agree totally with that. Like he's explosive, but it's not Malik Neighbors explosive, Marvin Harrison explosive. But you see only 2 cons here, and it's athletically related. He's insane with the ball. Like his ball skills are crazy. I think Devontae Adams is a really good comp here. I don't know if you remember, but Devontae Adams is a younger guy. His issue, coming out was speed. That he wasn't known as a burner at all. I think he ran like a 4.6 40. But I think Odunze ran faster than that. So I think he's going to be really good. I think this is justified.
Well, it was fun to watch him all year with Michael Penix Jr. throwing the ball to him so many times. He would just be wide open. And a lot of that's just because he does run such excellent routes as well. And if you're an excellent route runner, that makes up a lot for speed and explosiveness, at least in the measurables, because if you can run just great routes, some of that stuff goes away, because you could be like the greatest, fastest guy in a stretch.
Yep.
But if you don't really move well, that just kind of eliminates all of that. So the route running, I think, is a lot more important. Yeah. He also had some injuries too. That didn't help either.
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
All right, moving along here. With the 7th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM mock draft, the Tennessee Titans select Joe Alt, offensive tackle from Notre Dame. The GM here is Roshi.
Yeah, I think the only issue I would I'd bring up with him is he's a little tall, which can be a pro at times, but it can also be a con. You hear the term "low man wins" in football. That definitely applies in pass rushing. If you're bending over at the waist to block a 6'2", 6'3" edge rusher, you're probably going to lose. You're at a disadvantage. You're not going to win that rep. So I think Michael McGlinchey is a really good comp here. I think the Chargers would be interested in him, but yeah, I don't think he makes it past 7. Was this a Titans pick? Yeah, that makes sense. They do need an offensive lineman. I think Brock Bowers might go a little earlier than we think. I think this could be a possible place for him. So yeah, good value though, getting all at 7.
Get one of the advantages of those tall edge rushers, man. You get those arms up, and they can bat down. A lot of would-be passes that would just fly over, and you have a little fingertip on there, might lead to an interception. Even if they don't get to the quarterback, sometimes that does help at times. So we'll see. But moving along here. With the 8th pick in the NORBFAM 2024 NFL mock draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Dallas Turner, edge rusher, Alabama. Roshi, the GM here. Talk to me.
Yeah, so Dallas Turner, I think he's my 3rd ranked edge rusher, to be honest. He's not my favorite. He's not as big. So when I'm watching these players, I'm thinking of like from a Seahawks perspective, like how would he fit the Seahawks? I just don't think he's big enough or strong enough to play on the edge in our 2-4-5 base defense. That's really why our defense kind of struggled down the stretch, because we had Darrell Taylor starting on the edge. He's 240, and it's not a great run defender. Think about Uchenna Nwosu. Those are guys we need on the edge. Great run defender. When you only have 4 down linemen and 2 of them are outside linebackers, you need them to be really good in the run game. But back to Dallas Turner, I think if he goes to a 3-4 team with 3 down linemen, 2 outside linebackers, or a 4 down team, puts their defensive end in their hand in the dirt, 3-point stance, I think that would be great for him. Get off. His get off is great. He can get off the quarterback. I just don't think he plays that well from a 2-point stance. Stopping feet against contact against the run, get stuck on blocks as a run defender. He's not the best run defender. And honestly, I didn't think he was that great of a pass rusher when I watched him. I thought he was just, he's good, but he's not. I think this is a little bit high for him. I do think he could possibly go in the top 10 though, just because of the potential. He's a great athlete. I think he ran like a 4.40, so a lot of potential with him.
Yeah. All right, let's keep this moving.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
Yeah, that's what we hope to have a lot of next season. But here we go. All right, with the 9th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL mock draft, the Chicago Bears select Brock Bowers, tight end, Georgia. The GM here, Darkness, D1ARKNESS. Talk to me.
All right. Sorry, I didn't even recognize. I didn't click in my head that you played the touchdown Seahawks. So I heard it in the background. I didn't really think much of it. I was replying to Rishi in the chat. That was hilarious.
Yeah. Live TV.
Yeah. Right. All right. Brock Bowers to the Bears. I haven't seen this a lot. I think this could definitely happen. Like, you get your quarterback, then you get your tight end, right? Like, I think people that think Brock Bowers is going to fall to the late teens, I just don't understand that. He is one of the best tight end prospects in years. Like, I saw someone say that he's like the Christian McCaffrey of tight ends because you can play him. I mean, he's almost more of a receiver, but he can block as well. I think it was defensive end in high school, and you can tell by the way he blocks. Like, George Kittle, I think, is a really good pro comparison here. But he's a receiver that plays like a tackle to block. If he's there at 16, I don't think he will be, but I would not mind the Seahawks picking him up. Also, I think the Falcons could be in play here for Brock Bowers because if you look at their last couple picks in the last couple of years, they don't care about positional value. They took Kyle Pitts at 4 3 years ago, Drake London 2 years ago, and then Bijan Robinson last year. So if he's their best player available, I think the Falcons could take him before the Bears have a chance. But I think this would be a really good pick for the Bears. Like, you get possibly 2 top 3 prospects in the entire draft.
I wanted to ask you something. Let's say somehow if he dropped to 16 and is sitting there ready for the Seahawks to potentially take, would you be shocked if the Seahawks took a tight end? Because we could use a tight end here. We definitely are not triple stacked in that department. Mm-hmm. Would you be shocked and or disappointed or pleased if they actually made that move?
I don't think I'd be shocked just because the Seahawks, the last couple of years, they've been big on drafting best player available first through, I think, 3rd round, and then addressing need on day 3. But I also wouldn't be shocked if they traded back and a team wants to come up and take Bowers if they don't if he's bottom of the first, really wants to move up and they offer a ton of picks for him. I also wouldn't be shocked at that. So I don't think he'll be there, but that would be, either way, it's a win-win in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh. All right, here we go. With the 10th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL mock draft, the New York Jets select Xavier Worthy, wide receiver from Texas. General manager is Pen. Rishi in the comments says this next pick will be a shocker. Cam, are you shocked?
Very. Yeah, that's what I was looking at the chat and I heard Xavier Worthy. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, he broke the 40 record. I don't know if you saw that. He ran like a 4.21.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy about that because John Ross is like my favorite Husky of all time. So
he beat it like by
I know,
the narrowest.
yeah.
He beat him by
and it was
pimple.
on a second. It was on a second run too. So,
right.
Well, Xavier Worthy, he is a very small receiver. Yeah, see, versus Con, very skinny frame. I think he's at the combine listed at 161, which is insanely small.
John Ross was kind of skinny too, wasn't he? He was a little bit taller, but wasn't he a skinnier dude as well?
He was listed. Let me look it up just in case. I thought he was a little bit bigger, like 190 maybe. But yeah, he was 190. But yeah, I think Xavier Worthy's 5'9" as well. So he's very small. I think this would be a very Jets pick. That would be hilarious, to be honest. Yeah, very skinny. He is the fastest guy. He's the fastest guy in the combine. So, yeah, shorter explosiveness. He had a problem with drops. His I don't remember what year he was, but 2 years ago he had a big problem with drops. I don't know if you remember, but in that bowl game against Washington, he dropped a touchdown, and I think they ended up losing by a touchdown. So, I don't think he goes this early. I'd honestly be pretty shocked if he goes in the first round. I also wouldn't be shocked if he, sneaks in to the early second round. The Chiefs or the Bills trying to get another receiver. But yeah, 10. I don't think that happens.
Well, this is the stage of the draft where things start getting interesting. I think those first 5, 6 are kind of like pretty obvious, and this is where things kind of like shake the entire structure and draft boards that everybody's got. So it gets really interesting as we get into the double digits of the first round. All right, moving along here. All right, with the 11th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL mock draft, the Minnesota Vikings select quarterback J.J. McCarthy, Michigan. General manager Landon Boss. I'm also going to bring in another commentator who's joining us from the Discord, Hyuka, also known as Giyu. Hyuka, welcome to the draft stage here to help us break down some of these picks. You were actually the GM of one of our earlier picks, right, Hyuka?
Oh, you're muted.
Yep. Sorry.
There you
go.
There you
go. Yeah. Yeah, glad to be here. I follow the draft process pretty closely. I'm probably going to send out a pre-draft article tonight, so that's going to be pretty fun. Also, a huge Michigan fan, so was pretty happy when I was able to take over the Chargers because Jim Harbaugh is my guy. And yeah, so Neighbors was a pick there. I think that was pretty obvious.
Broke our hearts to the national championship, man. Broke
yeah,
a lot of Seattle area hearts, man, that game.
Yeah, Washington was kind of my second team throughout the whole year, so it was kind of hard rooting against them in the championship, but had to do what you had to do.
Yeah. All right, here we go. So J.J. McCarthy, he's one of those quarterbacks where I've seen him in high on the list like this. I've seen him dropping back, but we have here Landon Boss taking him here at 11 for the Vikings, who was quarterback position was vacated when Kirk Cousins went to Atlanta. Hugo, let's start with you. Why don't you give me a quick breakdown? We'll split the roles here. Have you go first, and then Cameron will step in as well.
Yeah, so J.J. McCarthy. I'm going to be a little biased for this one. I can't lie because of just my bias towards Michigan. But I think that seeing him jump up the draft boards throughout this whole draft process was a little bit of a shock. I didn't think that he would be going as highly as the top 10 or like the top 15 when the draft process initially started out. He is a pretty quick guy. He's listed as a dual threat quarterback. He ran, I believe, a 4.4 at the combine or at his pro day. I can't really remember which, but So he is a pretty quick guy. His accuracy on throws, especially like in the shorter range and on medium passes, seems to be there. It's not mind bending by any means, but it gets the job done. And he gets a lot of flack for being a sort of just a handoff passer or just a handoff guy, but he is able to do a lot more than that. And I think that in the end, he'll be a solid quarterback for Minnesota, given the weapons that they have up there. My issue with him is, and it's listed there by Roshi as well, the arm talent at times, he does not add enough arc on his throws, and that leaves his passes pretty vulnerable to being batted down pretty early, like at the line or even right as it's getting to his receiver. So that's something to watch out for. And also sometimes his reads are a little bit questionable, but I think overall a pretty solid pick for Minnesota getting what they need done.
Okay, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I honestly I can't get around the JJ McCarthy thing. Like, to be honest, like you see quarterbacks jump up like Anthony Richardson last year, just, you know, based on projection, right? You're projecting Anthony Richardson to be like this insane quarterback talent that you've never seen just because he's this insane athlete and has great arm talent. But I just don't see it with my JJ McCarthy. I've watched probably 10, 11 games of JJ McCarthy, and it's like he can throw to his left. It's just not consistent at all. Like, I think even at the combine when he was throwing those out routes, 10, 15-yard out routes, there were a few of them that just overthrew him, underthrew him. Like, I don't know. I just think 11 is very, very rich for – I think if you want to take a chance on a quarterback prospect, it's like someone like Michael Penix, who has insane arm talent but has medical issues, right? But I mean, you're projecting with McCarthy. He's an incredible kid, though. Like, he's probably the top character guy in this entire draft. So if there's anyone that's gonna, like, you know, work their way, it's JJ McCarthy most likely.
All right, let's move on to the next pick here. It's at the picking at the number 12 spot in the NORBFAM NFL 2021 mock draft. The Denver Broncos select Bo Nix, back-to-back quarterbacks. What? Bo Nix from Oregon. Roshi, the GM here. Cameron, you go first on the breakdown here. Shocked? Surprised?
Yeah. Well, Rishi's a Oregon fan, so I can't say I'm shocked. I'm a little shocked that he went this early. When I graded him, I watched the quarterbacks the closest this year because I thought there was a chance the Seahawks might take one. I had him in like the 4th round. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry, Rishi. I know that hurts to hear, but like he played in a very heavy RPO offense. Like, a lot of his throws were schemed open, right? Like tight end flats, wide receiver screens. There is a little bit to work with, though. Like, he can throw on the run. I don't remember. It was the Washington game. Like, he's running to his right, and then he just launches that thing like 60 yards. I did not know he had that kind of arm strength.
Are you talking about that one throw he made that he hit the touchdown down the right sideline?
I think so.
I think it was like 60+ yards, and then he scampered for the remaining like 15. But that was an amazing throw.
Yeah. So I think that's the first con, though. Through lots of screens, RPOs. That's what I was. So we're thinking the same here, but I think Drew Brees is a pretty good comp here. But if he could, Bo Nix is a little bit more of a scrambler, or he can run. He's a better athlete. A little rich for me, but I'm different with quarterbacks. I would only take 2 quarterbacks in the 1st round this year anyway. So,
how about you, Huka?
I gotta agree with most of Cam's analysis. I mean, when I was watching tape on the quarterbacks through this class, I had Bo Nix. I don't think I had him as a day 3 guy. I think I had him late day 2, so maybe the back end of round 3 there. But I agree with a lot of the concerns as far as just the offensive style that Oregon ran throughout the entire season was really designed to have receivers really, really wide open, that Bo Nix really just had to put a pass in the general vicinity, and it needed to be somewhat accurate for there to be a chance that the receiver will come down and turn it into a big play. So he does benefit a lot off the tape from just his receivers taking those quick dump offs and getting yards after the catch. But I think overall, I don't really have much to add. Like his arm strength it's there. It's pretty consistent on his abilities to, as far as like making accurate reads and getting the ball out. But I just don't know how he's going to translate to a more pro style offense where he's going to need to find like tighter windows when there's nothing there and try and make the plays himself.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, moving on. With the 13th pick in the NORBFAM 2024 NFL mock draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select quarterback Michael Penix Jr. from Washington, GM Darkness. Holy mackerel, are you kidding me? Fellas, talk to me. Yuka's eyes about to pop out of his sockets. What do you think here?
Is this the 5th quarterback?
I think this is the 6th.
This
is number 6, yeah.
6, because McCarthy, Nix, and now Penix. 6
yeah.
quarterbacks taken in the first 13 picks of the draft.
This is like the dream scenario for the Seahawks.
Oh my god.
My opinion. That's crazy. Right. You want to go first?
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
sure.
Yuka.
Sure, I'll take the first. I'll take the first. So as far as Penix goes, yeah, I don't really have enough praise to like heap on him. He is genuinely one of my favorite quarterbacks in the class. I know that there's the injury concerns with all the various ACL tears over the years and how that might affect his ability to be effective in the NFL. But to be honest, his quickness doesn't seem to be compromised from what we saw at his pro day. So I think if he needs to get out of the pocket and to like escape pressure, he will be able to. Though at times at Washington, he didn't seem like he was able to recognize it as quickly as I'd like. I think the most impressive part about Penix is just the consistency with the deep throws, albeit he benefited from Odunze being there and being such a great contested catch receiver. So he was able to just put the ball up there and see if Odunze can make a play most of the time. But even on plays where he finds receivers in stride, his release time is great. His placement is really good most of the time. That national championship game was a one-off, in my opinion. And I think overall, his deep throws, his tight, like his ability to hit receivers in tight windows is great. The only concern I have is his like middle of the field accuracy. I see that Roshi put that down there as well. The short throws are great. The deep throws are great. The middle of the field, maybe not as much. We've seen him sort of either underthrow or overthrow at different instances there, and he's just been a little bit turnover prone in that area. But I think otherwise, Penix is a great quarterback. A little bit concerned that the Raiders picked him over more pressing needs, maybe, but I think he'll go far in the NFL.
Cam.
Yeah, I've watched a ton of Michael Penix. Like, it's sick how much so obviously I've watched every single game of his Husky career. But when he announced that he was transferring, I'd heard of him, but I hadn't watched, Indiana football. So I watched like an entire season worth of Indiana Michael Penix. And then I've obviously watched the all 22. But yeah, this is probably my second favorite quarterback in the draft behind Williams. Yeah, the deep ball is the best in the class. Like, it's not even a question for me.
It is so great.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, I honestly, the Michigan game, I think if they win the Michigan game and he doesn't, and he plays well, I think he's a top 10 pick. Like for sure a top 10 pick. For in the media at least. We don't know what the teams think, but Yeah, I mean his issues. Like if he wins that game and plays well, I mean that's a Heisman season. No one's questioning anything. It's just that last game that everyone remembers. And if you remember, their head coach was hired away a week after that game. So you think about it, or no, it was like 2 days after
It was like 4 or 5 days, I think.
Yeah, it was less than a week.
Right. So do you really think that they were all in on preparing? Obviously, they were preparing for the game, but like, it sounds like he had one foot out the door. So, I'd hold off because like he looked incredible the week before against Texas, and their defense is no joke. But I want to talk about this comp before we move on. Phillip Rivers, but left-handed. That is so accurate. Like, it's definitely because Phillip Rivers was right. Was he a righty?
He was right.
Yeah, he just had that funky throw in motion. But that's definitely a.
He's a little more mobile than a Phillips Rivers, though.
I mean,
Right,
definitely. Like
He wins from the
what we saw
pocket. but
Friday.
Pocket
What,
wise, yeah.
do you know what he ran? What he ran at
He ran a-
Friday?
I think he ran a 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5.
No,
It's pretty quick.
I think it was lower. If
really?
you don't mind me looking that up real quick before we move on to the next.
Yeah,
pick.
while you do, the one concern I do have with Penix is he does not test the middle of the field, and that is a Penix thing. It's not a Grubb thing, just because Grubb did use the middle of the field with I can't remember his name, but with Fresno State they attacked the middle of the field. With Washington, they did not do a whole lot of that. So that's the one thing you wonder with him, like, you got to throw over the middle in the NFL. So yeah.
And I just checked. It was a low 4.5, which is quite mobile for a quarterback.
Russ ran like a 4.5. So
yeah. So I mean, if there were any concerns about his knees, I think those should be fairly dissipated by this point.
yeah, he's been 2 years injury free.
I think you just don't really think about Penix and running ability because he just didn't really elect to run that much. The few times he did, it's like, whoa, that was pretty fast. But you just didn't see him. He wasn't known as a scrambling quarterback. So whether that be to protect himself or just because he knew he was much more deadlier in the pocket throwing the ball than he was running it. But either way, so for me, just some last thoughts, just because I've been obviously digesting and dissecting all the material on Penix. I agree with all you guys on all this. I think the other negative to it, and we saw it in that Michigan game, is that if he's got protection and he's got time, he can dissect any defense out there.
Absolutely.
But you take that time away, and that's what happened against Michigan. You know, things can fall apart pretty quick, and that I think he gets rattled when he starts to get pressure. We've seen him get a little banged up. I think against Oregon too. He took a couple shots, and he was not quite himself for a little bit after that. And so, while he may not have the injury history like in the knees, that he had surgery on being the issue, I think just being pressured and banged around a little bit can affect his throwing ability. So that's my biggest concern with him, is that if he's not well protected, how is he going to hold up in terms of just being able to confidently throw that football as well as he does? All right, moving along here. With the 14th pick in the NORBFAM 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle, Penn State. Roshi, the GM. Let's go with Cam on this one.
Yeah, he was a top prospect in last year's draft before he stayed in college, which he was probably offered a NIL deal, big NIL deal. But yeah, I think he's more of a bottom half of the first round prospect in my opinion. You got to be careful of those Penn State players. But he's, raw as a run blocker, and that's definitely accurate. But yeah, he's, a little late first round for me.
Yuka.
I mean, I pretty much expected him to go mid first round. I think that is where he should go. I agree with Roshi's analysis about the run blocking being a little bit of an issue at times at Penn State, but on the flip side, the pass blocking is so extraordinary. I think in all of his games at Penn State, he did not allow a single sack throughout his entire collegiate career, which is quite impressive no matter what you try and knock that with. So obviously he is quite astute in the passing game, and I think that overall he is just that like mid first round like franchise blindside blocker type of guy. So if you're running a pass heavy scheme and you need a blindside blocker, I think Olufashanu is kind of that prototypical guy that you want.
All right. Well, just so you guys know, we are one pick away from revealing the Seahawks pick. I have not peeked at it to see what the GMs in Discord have selected there, but get ready. The Seahawks pick is coming up here. We are going to talk a little bit more when we get through the entire first round. I will open up the phone lines as well as the Discord chat to kind of get you guys' take on what we've done here, what the Seahawks selected in this mock draft and what we might select. So hang on in there and we'll get as many comments as we can at the end of the show. But again, shout out to Rishi for all his work in Discord, coordinating the GMs and putting this awesome slideshow together. All right. With the 15th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Quinion Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo. Roshi himself, Rishi, with the pick. Hyuka, you're up.
Yeah, I'm not surprised in the slightest. I think Quinion Mitchell flew up a lot of draft boards by like right after the combine, especially with the speed that he displayed over the course of the combine. I did think that in watching some tape, and actually Roshi has it there. There were a few times where like his open field tackling ability was a little questionable. It seemed like he wasn't quite able to wrap up on some tackles there, especially when he was going up against bigger guys. But I think he is probably one of the best zone coverage cornerbacks in this class, and I'm pretty excited about what he's going to be able to do at the NFL level.
Cameron.
Yeah, he's my number one corner. He's like one of two corners I take in the first round. I don't think we'll talk about the other guy tonight. I don't think anyone's going to draft him, but he is the one guy. The other first round projected corners are more, man on man, press man guys. This guy has done it all in college. They had him play a lot of off zone. Excuse me. He's very experienced. I think he started 2 years in a row at Toledo. But yeah, to see him dominate the one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl was pretty impressive, given that he played a lot of zone in college, off zone with that. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes top 15.
Okay, here we go. What we've all been waiting for as Seahawks fans. I have not peeked, so I'm going to find this out when all of you do as well. Halfway through the first round, with the 16th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL Mock Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select. Drum roll. There we go. Troy Fautanu, offensive tackle, Washington. General manager Vortex Alpha with the pick. Okay, I'm a little bit relaxed here because this is kind of very realistic, I think. Fellas, Cam, let's go with you first on this breakdown.
I have kind of a hot take with this guy. I think there is, I think there's a 0% chance that the Seahawks draft him.
Really?
Like 0. Actually, I'll put it at 1 because there's never a 0 or 100% chance of anything. But I think he goes earlier than this. There are a couple of reasons. I think he goes 10th to the Jets. I don't think they take Xavier Worthy. But also, I don't know if you saw this, but earlier this morning, I guess something came out about his knee. Like it could hurt his career in the long term.
I did not see that story.
Yeah, I don't think they described it as chronic, but yeah, I heard. But like, given what we've been dealing with Abraham Lucas, I would be shocked if they drafted someone with knee issues in the first round. And given what John Schneider. Also, John Schneider could be totally lying, but what he said about guards and them being overdrafted and overpaid, that's where I think Troy Fautanu would play. If he's healthy, like I think he could be a Pro Bowl guard, even tackle, to be honest. But I just don't think the Seahawks take a chance like that with the knee issues. But this also could be John Schneider just trying to get him to fall to 16. So,
right. Well, that's the thing too. Is I don't believe anything any GM says at this time of the year. I think it's no one's ever going to say what they really think. So you kind of have to take the smoke screens with the truth, and usually it's going to be more smoke. But I did not hear that story about his knee. That's interesting, and wonder who put that out there. Again, is that really something, or are they trying to throw the dogs off the scent?
Which is sick if you think about it. But
true. Yuka, you take.
Yeah, so I actually just looked into that, and that was Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer, who said that among other first-round prospects that he has intel on, it's that knee that could be a bit of a concern in the long run for Troy Fautanu, but he did also describe that GMs around the league were not super concerned with it due to what they perceive to be high football character. So they think that he's going to do everything that he can to take care of it and to make sure that his career lasts as long as possible. As far as the Seahawks, I don't know if they are going to be super encouraged by that. Like Cam said, especially with the injuries that we had at tackle over the past year, it seems slightly concerning that we'd go for a guy who would be a little more injury prone, maybe towards the latter end of his career, and we only get a couple of good years out of him. But I think offensive tackle overall is the right move, considering just how our luck has been with the offensive line as of late. And I think Fautanu is a great guy. I think that the potential that he showed at Washington was absolutely amazing. And I actually agree that he should be going a little bit earlier. I'd expect maybe the Seahawks would be able to draft maybe a Telias Fuanga here, but maybe not Fautanu, as he would possibly go earlier. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this pick that Vortex made.
All right. With the 17th pick in the NORBFAM 2024 NFL mock draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Terrion Arnold, cornerback from Alabama, GM Bone. Huka, you get it started.
Yeah, so my main issue with Terrion Arnold throughout just taking his film based on the context within which the plays were happening was that Terrion Arnold throughout the year wasn't really playing against the top receivers on many teams. Obviously, with knowledge of like Kool-Aid being that number one guy for most of the year for Alabama and getting a lot of the attention from receivers, Terrion Arnold, though like his tape is quite impressive, mind you, I'd like to see a few more reps against the upper echelon of receivers maybe within his class. But I think that overall he's an incredibly smooth corner. But yeah, I don't think that he should be the second corner taken off the board. I do think that maybe a late first, early second is justified, but I think that Arnold is pretty high up in the cornerback rankings, and he should deservedly get a good shot at the league.
Rishi making the comparison to last year's first-round pick, Devin Witherspoon. Cameron, your thoughts?
I'm sorry, Rishi, but I can't agree with that pro comp just because. Well, I don't think Devin Witherspoon was a lot more. He was a lot more compact. Like he was a little like a muscle. Like I don't know how to describe it, but like he was just like I don't know. Terrion Arnold was a lot longer. Thin. I personally wouldn't take him in the first round. That's just my opinion. I don't. I think he's my third or fourth cornerback. I don't remember. But yeah, I don't think he's that aggressive in the run game. I agree with that. Yeah, he's He can play the ball, but yeah, I just am not a big fan of him in the first round. I would, second round, I'd look at him early second round, but yeah.
All right, moving along. With the 18th pick in the 2024 NFL NORBFAM mock draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Talise Fuaga, offensive tackle, Oregon State. Roshi, the GM. Cameron.
Yeah, if he fell to 18 to the Bengals, that would be a phenomenal pick for him, for the Bengals. But I think he actually goes before Fautanu and Fashanu. I think he might go in the top 10, to be honest. Yeah, he played in a very run-heavy offense. They were in 12, 13 personnel, 22 personnel all the time. They were running it down teams' throats. But so, he's great in the run game. You can move him to guard, tackle, doesn't matter. He'll be great in the run game. Pass game could be an issue. So, I mean, if he does fall to 18, that's the reason. But yeah, he is probably the best tackle in the draft, in my opinion. I think it probably goes him, Fashanu, and then I forgot about Joe Alt. I think Joe Alt's probably my number one, then Fuaga, then Fautanu, then Fashanu. But yeah, if the Bengals get him, that would be a home run pick, in my opinion.
Yuka, your thoughts?
I think Cam said most of what I wanted to say as far as just analyzing Fuaga as a prospect. But I think that as far as just a pick for the Bengals, this is absolutely phenomenal if they can snag him here. I'm sure that they will get at least one of the four. It's probably not going to be all, but I think one of Fautanu, Fashanu, or Fuaga will be available to the Bengals. And I think if they go with any of them, they're getting a really, really solid prospect at the offensive tackle position. Though they all have strengths in different things. I'll admit that. Again, like Cam said, Fuaga maybe not as consistent in the passing game, but a stalwart in the run game. Fashanu more so geared towards being a pass protector. But I think at the end of the day, when you look at the Bengals and you look at their offensive line struggles, especially at the tackle position, and just how many times Burrow's gotten sacked over the past, how many years has he been in the league? 4 now? Over the past 4 years?
He played 3 full seasons, yeah.
3 full seasons. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, over the past 3 full seasons, just seeing how much pressure's been an issue in Cincinnati, I think giving Burrow a clean pocket sooner rather than later is going to be really, really important. And no matter who they pick, and especially with Fuaga, it's going to be a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, can I mention something? This is kind of off topic, but just going back to Joe Burrow, he tore his ACL his rookie year. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
We don't talk about him having any injury concerns, and he's been fine since. Michael Penix, I mean, he tore his ACL. It's a draft, and it's obviously you're going to think of the injury, but I really don't think those injuries are a big deal. I don't know. It's just something that popped into my head.
Well, I also think when you compare to RG3, if your game is predicated on running and you tear your knee up because you're a running quarterback, well, it'd be like Lamar Jackson having a major knee injury. Then that wipes out half his game. But that's not the kind of quarterback that Penix is. I think that's the biggest difference. He's a pocket passer first. Run if he has to, but he's not really looking to run. So I think that's the difference. His game's not built on that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But also, I think the big issue with Penix as opposed to Burrow is that the times that he's picked up those knee injuries, both times it's been to that right knee. And so when you're injuring that right knee with such a devastating injury multiple times, then it starts becoming a cause for concern with teams that are wondering how much cartilage is left in there. How is that ligament going to hold up in the league?
Now, of course, as a left-handed thrower, it's different, right? Because if you're a right-handed thrower, your right foot is your planting foot, but if you're throwing off your left hand, it's his left foot that has more of the pressure that he puts on it. I mean, I don't know exactly mechanically which is more important, but it is different, right? Left and right for a left-handed thrower. And that kind of changes even the protection a little bit there. But anyway, we'll see if Seahawks have any interest tomorrow in trading back and maybe trying to snag a Penix Jr. in the draft. We'll see. All right, here we go. With the 19th pick in the NORBFAM NFL Mock Draft 2024, the Los Angeles Rams select Jared Verse, edge rusher, Florida State. General Manager Bone from Discord making the call there. Hugo, you thought?
Yeah, I mean, Jared Verse is a guy that I had pegged pretty highly going into the draft process. I've watched Verse at Florida State for the past 2 years, pretty on and off. I think I've watched about like 6 to 7 games in total, and I think as far as the physical tools, he's got pretty much all of it down. And I think given what the Rams are losing in Aaron Donald in that front three, maybe you switch first to an outside linebacker. I'm not completely sure if they're going to keep rolling with that 3-4 and going to move verse to an outside linebacker or try to mold him into a more like an interior DE. But I do think that he's going to be a huge step in rebuilding that front seven for the Rams, and I really hope he doesn't terrorize the Seahawks for too long. But we will see how that turns out.
Cameron.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Jared Verse. I just think he's just not what I look for, you know. Like he wins with power, you know. He is not very how do I put it? He like when he's rushing off the edge, he doesn't have great bend, you know. Like he wins with power exclusively almost. But he's a technician in pass rushing. So you kind of wonder like how much does he have? How much more room does he have to grow? Obviously, he'll mature physically. I think what surprised me and kind of, you know, was he only weighed in at like 259, which is kind of concerning just with how he plays, you know. It's just yeah, he's not. I wouldn't take him in the first round. If I did, I'd take him in the late first round. I'm just not a huge fan of that play style. I also don't think that would fit the Rams. If he stays at 259, I think it could. But I think he would play on a 4-down defense, traditional like 4-2-5, 4-3 defense.
All right. With the 20th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL Mock Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Amarius Mims, offensive tackle from Georgia. The Paper Portal is the GM making this pick. Cameron.
Yeah, the thing about Amarius Mims is he just hasn't played a whole lot of football, you know, in college. I think he only started one season, or it was like 8 games or something. It was not a lot, but this is more of a project pick. I think 20 is around probably where he'll go, just because I think Fatano and Fashano and all the top tackles will be gone. So the Steelers would be picking up Mims as I think the 5th tackle at this point. He could go a little bit earlier just because teams, they missed out on the top 4. But yeah, this is definitely a project. I think he could play really how tall is he? I feel like he's I should know this off the top of my head, but I was wondering if he could kick into guard. As he's 6'8", so never mind. Yeah, no, I knew it was something tall like that. But yeah, no, he's a tackle. Yeah, I really like him. I think he's very athletic at the combine. Definitely shows up on tape.
Yuka.
Yeah, pretty much same concern as Cameron. Just hasn't had a lot of film to go through and review, so don't know how he's going to progress. But I think from what we've seen so far, he seems like a pretty solid prospect. Has all the physical tools to be a great offensive tackle, and it's just going to have to be a matter of how can the Steelers mold him into a great blocker.
It's going to be interesting to see what the Steelers do at quarterback now that they've got two starters potentially there with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Amazing how that all came together.
Yeah.
All right, here we go with the 21st pick in the NORBFAM 2024 NFL Mock Draft. The Miami Dolphins select J.C. Latham, offensive tackle from Alabama. Destiny 205, the general manager. Yuka, you're up.
Okay, so J.C. Latham is a little bit of an interesting pick here to me. My first instinct with if I was to mock the Dolphins for a 24 mock draft would be to try and replace Christian Wilkins, because that was the most notable offseason departure that I feel like they had, or just them losing a lot of defensive pieces in general. I assume that they would want to focus more on that front as opposed to maybe bolstering their offensive line. So my pick here I'd much prefer maybe a Johnny Newton instead of JC Latham. And also to go back to our analysis of Penix earlier, where we talked about, Penix being possibly undervalued because of that last game versus Michigan. I think that's kind of a thing that I've seen with Latham as well. If you remember the Rose Bowl game, also against Michigan, Milroe was getting pressured like anything, and Latham on a few plays there looked pretty much just lost. Just couldn't recover a block or do something to effectively stop that Michigan rush. And I think Milroe went down probably 8-ish times that day. So that being the last game I watched of Latham didn't bode super well as far as oh, okay, so how is he going to fare against better pass rushes? But I think overall, in terms of in terms of, again, just physical tools, he has pretty much all of it. And then and then the other criticism I had with him is just the footwork is not there in my opinion. So yeah, JC Latham in my opinion would be probably around this range as far as tackles go, top 6 to top 8. But I don't think that that maybe the Dolphins is the right fit for that.
Cameron, anything to add? Oh, you're muted there, bud.
Yeah, sorry about that. First thing I'll mention, or I guess the last thing I'll add on to that is this first con, the tendency to dip head into contact. I wish I could remember the name of the tackle last year, but it's just a trend that is not if you can't see what you're blocking, you're not. It's something that the team is going to have to coach out of them. But any good coach can do that. The thing I'll say about positional value, or not positional value, I'm sorry. Drafting for need, right? My thing with drafting for need is just in my opinion, draft your best player available and see where he is in 3 years. For me, getting anything out of a rookie is a bonus, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I don't really have a huge problem with the Dolphins taking a tackle. If you think he's going to be your best, your franchise left tackle, and you get him at 21, that's fine with me.
All right, with the 22nd pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL Mock Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Patrick Paul, offensive tackle, Houston. The general manager, Nelson, making the pick. Cameron.
Yeah, Patrick Paul. I don't know about taking the 7th. See, I just don't see 7 tackles going in the first round. I just don't know the Eagles would want to take the 7th best tackle when Byron Murphy is still available, as far as I know, which is kind of shocking to me. And Jerzon Newton and Chop Robinson, like, I don't know. I see him more as like a 3rd-round player, if I'm being honest.
Not to mention any of the better late first-round quarterbacks are also still on the board. But go ahead.
Right. So, yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah, a lot of linemen going here. A lot of quarterbacks and linemen.
Right.
Hugo?
Yeah, I pretty much just agree with most of what he said. Like, this many tackles going in the first round just seems a little bit odd. I'd expect maybe guys like Patrick Paul and like who are the other like notable tackles, like Tyler Guyton to fall, maybe, and Jordan Morgan as well, to maybe fall to that early 2nd round, as opposed to just this barrage of tackles being taken this early on. I mean, I don't have any specific issues with Paul as a player, but yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit strange for me for the Eagles to make this pick, especially with, first of all, like them not needing like outside help more so than they need like the interior offensive line to be rebuilt, and also like I'd much rather see them go with like a corner here, like maybe a Cooper DeJean or Nate Wiggins around this area.
As Rishi said, the one responsible for putting this whole show together, the slideshows together, says the Eagles don't need a D tackle. They got Davis and Carter. So, yeah, again, questionable at that, but that's who we got going here. So, all right, let's move on. With the 23rd pick in the NORBFAM 2024 NFL mock draft, the Minnesota Vikings select, as you just said, Jerzon Newton, defensive tackle, Illinois. General manager Landon Boss making the pick. I think, Hugo, I think you're up.
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, when I've run through just mock drafts of my own, I've not seen the Vikings hold this pick. So analyzing the Vikings at 23 is a little bit new to me, just because I've, like, in most of my drafts, I'm projecting like a trade up, maybe to snag JJ McCarthy ahead of the Falcons, who reportedly are also in play. That's not to say that I think that JJ McCarthy is a top 10 pick in terms of just my assessment of him, but I do like, it's been just mostly me seeing that the Vikings are possibly likely to trade up, especially with those 2 first rounders at their disposal. As far as Johnny Newton goes, he has been my favorite interior defensive lineman throughout the entire draft process, bar none. Yeah, like, despite the issue that some people take, Rishi has it written down there, is that he's a little bit undersized. I do think that his technical ability, especially with placement and his motor, is good enough for me to overlook that and think that maybe he should go a little higher than this slot where he's at right now. And I think that overall, that's a pretty good pick.
Cameron.
Yeah, I totally agree. He is my number one interior, even above Byron Murphy, who I think is going to go top 10. But yeah, Jerzon Newton, so there's a narrative going around about him that he is a slow get off. So the reason for that, if you don't mind me, I'll get a little nerdy with the football here, but he is asked to read step at Illinois at the 3 technique, which is basically you take a 6-inch. Your first step at the 3 technique is a 6-step inch to the side, right? and read where the offensive lineman is going to block, right? Byron Murphy, on the other hand, is praised for having a great get off. He's taking a 6-inch power step, which is just trying to get into the backfield as soon as possible. So I actually think Newton is actually a little bit more explosive and a better athlete, but he is very disruptive, even with that 6-inch read step. I think this would be a crazy good pick for the Vikings at 23. I'd take him at 16, to be honest.
I'd take him probably earlier than 16.
I think he's that good.
All right, a lot of tackles. Here we go with the 24th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM mock draft. The Dallas Cowboys select Byron Murphy, defensive tackle out of Texas. General manager Penn with the pick. Cameron.
Yeah, Byron Murphy is someone that Seahawks fans really like, probably because they saw him in that Sugar Bowl. But Grady Jarrett's a really good comp for him. I like that, but I think he goes in the top 10. To be honest, I think this is way too late for him. But yeah, he's a really good pass rusher, but he also is like an exceptional run defender as well. They actually had him playing at 2I, which is essentially a nose tackle. I think he played at like 6'1", 295 or something like that. I think he weighed in at like 305. But I think him and Newton. What was I going to say? Thought totally left my brain. If I remember, I'll chime in. But yeah, you got this one.
All right, Hugo.
What did I say?
I mean, I think we provided most of our like analysis on, or I guess Cam did, on Murphy when we were discussing Jerjon earlier on, and also just picked before that. And I agree with most of it. I think that I'm not one to really judge on physical tools because, like, although they can be like a slight limitation, they're not super predictive of success in the league. Like, it's not a given that people who aren't ideal with a certain like physical trait will be set to fail, nor will they be set to succeed. And I think that goes without saying. So I think the lacking ideal height is not really the biggest con. And then I think there is some sloppy hand placement at time, but I don't think that it's a consistent issue to the point where I'd knock Byron Murphy out of like a top 15 pick.
I remember what I was going to say. So kind of playing off, I didn't see this first con, but I don't think the height is the issue. Both Newton and Murphy, their issue is arm length. They don't meet either. Either of them don't meet the Seahawks threshold. I don't think they've ever drafted a defensive lineman with sub 32-inch arms. Or I think it's 33, but either way, to make that pick in the first round would be they'd be setting a precedent for, their drafting strategy. I don't think height is a big deal, to be honest, just because, you see him take on double teams. It's, for someone that's less than 300 pounds, it's very impressive.
All right, just to clarify, there were some questions going on in the chat. Some cup of water was asking, did I make this? And just to clarify, Rishi Hoskote Roshi in Discord, he's the one who put together this amazing slideshow and also helped pick as general manager, along with a bunch of other Discord members in making the pick. So I did not pick in this one. I have done some mock drafts earlier where I did my own assessments, but I'm going totally off of what the Discord crew put together. All right, so let's continue on. In the 2024 NORBFAM mock draft, the Green Bay Packers with the pick 25 select Graham Barton, another offensive lineman from Duke. General Manager Andrew A. in Discord making the pick. Let's go Hyuka on this.
Yeah. All right. So is this our first interior guy off the board?
If you don't count Fatanu, yeah.
Fatanu's
I mean,
coming
yeah,
all around,
I
yeah,
think
he's technically a
Fatanu-
tackle. So yeah, first guard taken.
Yeah, I think Fatanu, like a lot of people are projecting that maybe a team is going to move him inside to that guard position as opposed to keeping him at tackle, which I could honestly see with he has the tools to be able to do that. But I guess in terms of people who were playing on the interior throughout college, this is the first guy that is off the board. To be honest, I did not watch a lot of Duke games when I was reading into the first round, but of the little bit that I did watch, I do think that his ability to just like stay on blocks and like not like give them up at like the slightest move is well, first of all necessary, and second of all quite impressive, and his prowess in the run game and creating those holes and making things easy is definitely a huge pro. So yeah.
Cameron.
Yeah, I think Travis Frederick is a interesting comp because I think Frederick actually played guard in college and then moved to center in the NFL. So I think same thing for Barton. I think he's mainly as a guard, but I think teams have been discussing moving him to a center if they wanted. So I've heard. So, yeah.
All right, with the 26th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL mock draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Cooper DeJean, cornerback from Iowa. General Manager Landon Boss with the pick. Cameron.
Yeah, this is someone who weirdly is, in like the last couple of days, is becoming a big a lot of Seahawks fans are really liking him as an option, but I think he's more of a corner. I don't think he played a whole lot. He didn't play a whole lot of safety in college. He was more of a zone corner. And honestly, I didn't think he was like, an elite corner or anything. I have him more in the second round. But yeah, he value as a returner. He was a pretty good returner in college. If he starts on the defense, I don't think they'd have him do that in the NFL. I'd take him in the second round. But yeah, he's not great in man coverage. I don't think he's more of a zone corner. I didn't think he was exceptional at that either.
He's kind of listed as a safety in official draft listings, although Rishi had him as a corner for this particular mock draft. But
And
He was primarily a corner. Yeah.
Hyuka, your take?
Yeah, I agree in that, like, I don't think that, like, I think teams may want to move him to a safety, but, like, he was definitely more of a zone corner coming out of Iowa. And the one con that I'm noticing here is the leg injury. So we were talking about, obviously, Penix with the injury history and how that's going to affect him. When you're in a position that engages more of those physical tools, you're going to need to see a more evident, like, injury-free history. And with Cooper DeJean, I believe it was either an ACL or an Achilles. I can't remember right now. I think it was the ACL. But that injury sidelined him for the majority of the year, and or not the majority, but it was towards the end. And to suffer such a devastating injury going into the pre-draft process is a little bit concerning, just because, like, we haven't seen him come out of an injury before. We don't know how he's going to recover and how that's going to go for him. But as far as him as a prospect, I think that I unlike Cam, I think I do have him in the first round. I think he's a late first rounder, but I am a huge fan of just his ability to just like recognize where the ball is going, read the quarterback's eyes, and I think that in accordance with that first pro over there, he is a pretty ideal athlete at the quarterback position.
Yeah, and then one more thing to add, he broke his leg, so it wasn't like soft tissue or anything, so he should be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little easier to recover from than those nasty tendons and ligaments that get damaged.
Right, yeah.
All right, as we're closing in on the last handful of picks here, just to let you guys know, I do have, if you guys want to call in, the number's down below, 202-926-1076 with the code 696153. And also you can join in if you are on Discord. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting already, standing by. We'll get your thoughts at the end of it as we close into the finish. So let's keep this train moving. With the 27th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Kool-Aid McKinstry with a cool name, cornerback out of Alabama. Ivan, the GM, making this pick. Yuka, let's go with you.
I mean, first of all, how could you not mention the name? That is an absolutely elite name. But yeah, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Much like Cooper DeJean, does have a pressing injury within the draft process. I think he had a Jones fracture, which is essentially just like it's a metatarsal fracture, so a foot injury. In the pre-draft process, I don't know how long it was before the combine. It might have been like I think maybe in the week leading up to it, but. That is a little bit concerning, but I don't think that without the proper medical attention, it should be too bad of an issue. Before I give my analysis, Cam, you mentioned earlier that I believe Quinyon Mitchell was one of your first-round corners. Was Kool-Aid the other one, or was it someone else?
Yeah. Oh, I actually have 3, so this is my second one.
Okay, so you have one more left.
Yeah. And we're probably not going to see him.
But yeah, as far as corners go, Kool-Aid was one of my favorites. I think Quinyon Mitchell eventually overtook him at my CB1 spot, but he didn't drop lower than CB2 for me. I think his ability to play both kinds of coverage is great. He's a very good corner, very fluid motion, and I think that his mechanics, his adaptability is pretty ideal. So, yeah.
Cameron, want to add something to it?
Yeah, he's my second corner. I think he could potentially go a little bit higher than this, but I think this is definitely the range he could go in. Face guarding receivers downfield is going to be an issue. You want him to get that head around and make a play on the ball, but very few corners can do that. So, yeah, I like him as a player.
Just curious, who's the third?
My third corner is kind of out there, but Mikey Sainer still.
I'm
Michigan.
pretty happy with that, to be honest. Yeah. I have him in the first round as well.
Great. I love him. Yeah.
There's not a better nickelback in the draft, but I don't think that he'll be going in this top 32, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it happens in real life tomorrow.
Right.
All right, here we go. If we close into the last, 5 picks in this draft, with the 28th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL mock draft, the Buffalo Bills select Laiatu Latu from UCLA, edge rusher. The general manager, Raiders, got next 3 on Discord, making the pick. Let's go Cameron on this to start.
Yeah, this is a bit late.
I'm surprised you're so low in this, by the way. But
right,
your take?
I think there's a possibility he falls just because of the neck. Like, he was medically retired when he was at Washington. So, like, if he does fall, I wouldn't be shocked. But do expect him to go a little bit higher than this. He's a pretty good pass rusher. He gets some flack for not being as strong in the run game, but I see first con, neck injury at UW. I think he could definitely slip, but he's a really good pass rusher. I wonder about his fit with the Seahawks, if he's an option for them, just because they need run defense on the edge in our 2-4. So,
Huka.
I mean, yeah. Again, like I do tend to not hyper focus, but I think I do tend to point out injuries quite a bit, just because I had a huge follower of just the medical perspective behind football, and being medically retired is definitely a bit of a concern, especially in such a physical position as edge rushers are. But I think that if he's cleared to play, he's cleared to play. I think the injuries in the past and should not resurface, in my opinion. But if it does, then we shall see. And I think outside of that, he's pretty great. I think he has a lot of great moves in his arsenal, and he's a guy that can he's a guy that can win a rep in multiple ways. And I think that he should be going a lot higher than this. To be honest, I think he should be firmly in the top 20.
All right. We'll keep this closing in on the 2024 draft here, so let's keep on moving with it. With the 29th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL mock draft, the Detroit Lions select cornerback Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. This is your pick here, Huka, so I'll let you talk about him first. Talk to me about Nate.
All right, so yeah, I guess I wasn't able to do this with the neighbors pick earlier, which I think was pretty self-explanatory to begin with, but pretty excited to be able to talk about the Wiggins pick. So I watched a lot of Wiggins's tape towards the end of the pre-draft process, and I think the first thing that anybody notices about Wiggins is that he is just a pure athlete. He has all the physical tools, the speed, the length in order to be successful at cornerback. While he can get a little bit reckless at times, he does he does most of the time make the right read and is able to make some really good plays, I think, pretty consistently. So I'm pretty happy with the pick, especially with how the Lions secondary, for those of you who don't know, the Lions are one of my favorite teams in the NFL. So I'm a Lions and a Seahawks fan. But for us to lose in the way that we did in the NFC Championship, largely due to some unfortunate drops and some coverage mishaps, I think bolstering the secondary was a huge need coming into the draft. And I think Wiggins being the first pick for the Lions is a huge step in the right direction in bolstering that coverage, along with Amik Robertson and Carlton Davis.
Go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah. So these first two pros are if you can get those two in one corner, that is incredible. Because if you have great length, long arms, honestly, finding patience in press coverage is very rare. So that's very impressive with him. And then to go along with his speed, I think he ran a somewhere in the 4.2. So
I think it was either a very low 4.3, maybe a 4.32 to a 4.28.
Okay.
Pretty low.
Okay. Yeah. To have that with the patience and press coverage, that's very rare. But really, it's lacking in physicality. That just kind of turns me off with him, to be honest. For me, you really gotta be involved in the run game. That's why I like Devin Witherspoon and Senior still so much. So yeah.
All right. Good stuff, guys. We'll move along here. 3 more picks to go. With the 30th pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL mock draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, general manager Destiny 205. Cameron, you can take this one. Start.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a receiver in a while.
right. Yeah, and they kind of went off the board like 1, 2, or 3, 4, 5 earlier in the draft. So, yeah, Brian Thomas was someone that I honestly hadn't heard of until after the college football season, which I hadn't watched a lot of LSU during the season. But he really rose. I think Phil Simms had him above, who was it? Marvin Harrison, which is crazy to me. But yeah, who went 3rd or 4th in our draft. But yeah, he is a height, weight, speed guy, in my opinion. Kind of similar build to DK Metcalf. I think he's got a better route tree than DK Metcalf did coming out of college. But yeah, Martavis Bryant is a pretty good comp, to be honest. That's wow, I haven't heard that name in years. Yeah, that's really good.
Hugo.
Yeah. I mean, before I get to talking about Thomas real quick, someone said in the chat that Penix and Wilson had pretty similar numbers in college, which is I don't think that's quite true, considering Penix was like the first to like throw for back-to-back 4,000-yard seasons for a while, or I guess not a while since Patrick Mahomes, but I don't think Russ ever did that in college. But regardless of that, I think that Brian Thomas was largely overshadowed by the fact that he had another stud of a receiver on his team in Malik Neighbors. But I think that he's a really, really solid option, especially this late in the first round. I think Baltimore had a good start with Zay Flowers, and they still need to bolster that receiver core just a little bit more. And I think for someone who has like an ideal frame, in my opinion, for a receiver, as well as some really great speed to pair with it, he could be a really, really great threat for the Ravens.
And I just wanted to add to that comment that, what was it? Frank Gallagher, good name, by the way, said about comparing Penix and Russell Wilson. You got to remember also Russell Wilson, being his height, kind of made him less desirable as a higher draft pick too, being at 5'10" and 5'8", I think is what he was listed as, something like that. Whereas Penix he's well over 6 foot something, so that immediately changes. I don't think most people don't consider drafting a below 6 foot quarterback. I mean, unless he's just lights out anytime earlier than the second round anyway. So that's kind of
Kyler Murray.
Yeah, but Russell Wilson kind of opened the door for those short quarterbacks. So up to at that point when Russell Wilson sort of broke the mold for short quarterbacks, they weren't picking quarterbacks of his height any earlier than the 3rd round anyway. All right, moving right along. 2 more picks to go. It's the Super Bowl appearing teams, the losers of Super Bowl 58, with the 31st pick in the 2024 NORBFAM NFL mock draft. The San Francisco 49ers select Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle from Oklahoma. Roshi, the GM, on this one.
No.
He wants it.
I'll do this again. Please, another offensive tackle.
Yes, it's another one.
8.
Is that 8?
Yeah.
They've taken up a quarter of the first round. There's no way. Oh my God.
I didn't write this. This is a random group of people picking this, so we roll. Look at that! Look at that analysis list. A lot of info right there.
That's all we need.
Pretty solid analysis right there. If I do say so myself. Oh man. I mean, first of all, if it wasn't clear from my reaction, I am tired of evaluating offensive linemen in this draft. But for what it's worth, I do think that Tyler Guyton is a pretty solid offensive tackle. I don't personally have him in my first round. I think I had him early day 2, and I think he looked pretty solid in pass pro at Oklahoma. So I think that for the 49ers, I don't know if it's the best scheme fit, but I think that Tyler Guyton could be a pretty solid pick there.
Yeah, there are actually rumors that the 49ers might take Roger Rosengarten with this pick, the other Washington tackle. I think he was the right tackle. That would be a much better scheme fit for them with that wide zone offense.
Yeah.
There's actually, Rishi just told me that I think I might have had, this may not be the most latest version. We were sharing this on Cloud Drive, and I might not have gotten the latest that actually does have some more information on there. So apologize there for missing some of your data, but that's what we got to work with. So apologies there for not getting all the updated data that you put together there, Rishi. All right. Well, wrapping up to the end here. And again, if you want to call in with comments, the phone number is scrolling down below. Just call that in and enter the code if you want to chime in with some last-minute comments before we wrap up tonight. But finally, let's see, where are we here? The final pick of the first round with the 32nd pick of the 2024 NORBFAM NFL mock draft. The Kansas City Chiefs select Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver, out of Texas. GM Raiders got next 3 with the pick. Let's go Cameron on this one.
Yeah, he's interesting because, if you remember the end of that Texas-Washington game, do you remember that touchdown he caught over the defensive back? It was insane. His catch radius is crazy. I can't remember what his vertical was, but I would be shocked if it was under 40 inches. But yeah, I think that's probably one of the easier picks of the draft, to be honest. The Chiefs picking a receiver, I would not be shocked if they don't do that because it almost seems too obvious. So, yeah, I like the pick. I think, is that our 4th or 5th? Is it 5th or 6th receiver?
I think it's 6.
Jeez.
All
right, Hugo, what you got?
I mean, tale of offensive tackles and receivers in this first round. Oh my God. But yeah, I'm pretty sure his vertical there was pretty close to 40 inches. I think it was maybe 39 and a half. So in that general range. And as far as fit with the team, the Chiefs so desperately need a receiver, especially with the Rashee Rice incident. He's going to probably be out for some time. With Kadarius Toney just being sort of drops a lot, they definitely need a guy that can come in day one and be a solid receiver in all facets. And I think Adonai Mitchell is a pretty solid guy to be able to do that.
I don't want to rob Rishi of his good breakdown here, so I'm just going to read what he wrote in his data that didn't show up on this slide that's online here. But the pros for Mitchell are he's above average long speed, good flexibility, body control, can move smoothly with his long, lanky frame, functional route runner on vertical route tree, at this best on go routes, posts, and digs, good hand-eye coordination, natural ability to attack the ball away from his frame, which means a wide catch radius. And the cons, a change of direction isn't threatening, which affects his yard after the catch. Not the best blocker in the world, and not consistent with his ability to attack the ball while contested in midair. He compares George Pickens as equivalent pro comparison. So there you go. So with that pretty much wraps up the 32 picks of the NORBFAM NFL mock draft. I did say I wanted to give some of the viewers out there a chance to comment in on what they saw today. So let's just go to right now we got some folks here in the NORBCorp Discord. Let me bring your guys' up and let's get started with our friend from New Zealand. He's been here the whole time, I think, since the beginning. So how you doing, man?
Hello.
Can you guys hear him okay?
Yeah, we can hear him. He's fine.
Great to be here. Very interesting draft. I was taking notes the whole time.
Yeah?
On at least the most interesting parts.
Yeah.
Hey!
My highlights were Brock Bowers going in the top 10. That was quite shocking to me. I think he's in between 10 and 15. Xavier Worthy in the first round. Mr. 421 going in the first. I think that's highly unrealistic.
Yeah.
Bonix and Michael Penix back-to-back picks in round 1. Again, I think that's unrealistic.
Yeah, the quarterback run, what did we just say? It was like 6 quarterbacks in the first 13?
13, yeah.
6 quarterbacks.
That's probably not going to happen. I think the first 3 for sure, maybe 4. But to see Nix and Penix go that high would be a shock.
I mean, I think Penix
I think
definitely
that's
has a shot. I mean, given the fact that the Broncos are kind of in a dire QB situation where their QB1 out of the gate is going to be Zach Wilson, they're definitely going to be exploring their options. So I think, maybe 6 is too much. I think that Nix or Penix will be selected with that Broncos first.
Oh my God, no.
All right, Jade's in here. Jade, what you got?
Just wanted to say you did film my suite at that Kraken game, but please, I'm praying to God, give me Penix, because I'm not kidding. They did say this on ESPN. I just turned it off. He throws as if he's got a missile. Like, he's got the arm, and he throws like as if he's throwing a missile or something.
It's a beautiful deep ball, for sure.
Yeah. It's just the biggest flaw to Geno. I'm not comparing the two, but excuse me. Geno hesitates, and I'm like, that's a big flaw, and that's a way if you want to get sacked. I'm like, no, I want Penix because Penix is good, but I don't look on the injury history. He's got a good arm, especially with that game against Oregon. Am I saying it right? The game against the Ducks.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's really good, and he was then. Him making his way to the championship. This is the guy that can bring us to the Super Bowl. Because, I mean, Russell Wilson's prime and done. Bobby Wagner's out. Give me Penix. I don't want JJ. I'm not a fan of JJ.
We know how you feel about Michigan. We know how you feel about Michigan, so I know you don't want a single Michigan player on this team.
Spartans, let me tell you something. I do have respect for the Michigan Spartans. You guys are welcome to this city anytime. No Wolverines. You guys can stay out unless you want to get the Husky.
I got to address. Frank Gallagher's had a lot of funny comments today. He was saying, "Is that Michael Dixon talking?" Michael Dixon, that's obviously the punter from Australia, and the reason why they asked that is because our friend he's out of New Zealand, so he's got a similar down under accent, right? I think it's pretty funny. Good pickup on the accent.
Oh yeah. This is crazy to ask, but I don't know if I could bring my friend in. He's an Eagles fan, but he won't talk trash. He's not into that stuff. He's just a casual Eagles fan.
Sure. I don't know. Where is he? Is he in the Discord?
No, he's not in right now. I'm gonna bring him in tomorrow, but I'm probably gonna help with it. But I could send you his name just to help you out. His name is Nightfall.
Send him tomorrow because I am going to be doing a live stream with my buddy Pat, who I go to the games with, during the draft tomorrow, live streaming the first real round of the NFL draft, breaking down, what we see. And especially when the Seahawks draft 16. So we'll be taking reactions. Oh, yeah. No, you can jump in. We'll be doing just like this, getting different, viewer reactions as the draft.
My grandpa actually tried out the light rail for the first time to the game, and it was pretty smooth to T-Mobile Park.
It's a good way to go, man. I've done it many times. It's a fun way to go. You have to
and I'm still celebrating that the Niners lost the Super Bowl, so my friend's all happy. Take that. You can finally jump in a lake. I got my wish.
Yeah, yep. Sosmo
Also,
definitely got some retraction as you jumped into that icy cold lake. You can see that video on my channel.
Yeah, my fans did want me to tell you this. My move got sabotaged. Tyler knows it. Henry knows it. I've been posting constant updates, and we're trying to fight to get the house back.
Oh man.
Because I'm going to tell you right now to wrap it up in one short type of thing. I was at the Kraken Golden Knights game, and it then went into shootout.
Yep.
And I got a thing on my phone, and they said that somebody was in the house. And I was like, so I called my boyfriend. He was working. I said, hey, are you in the house? Because I'm checking the camera right now. And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, I'm at the game. Because considering you're not a Kraken fan, you're a Kings fan. And I'm like, you're kidding. So I come home the next day from the movies. I saw Kung Fu Panda 4. And bang, my grandmother was bringing the stuff back.
Oh.
Because the yard was so much bigger, the dogs could run around, and I don't have to pay a $250,000 fine in this apartment complex. And then I could do that meetup with you I've been wanting to do, but now I can't really. I got to put everything on hold because I'm fighting to get it back. I've been fighting since like March 9th to get it all back.
Wow. Jay, there's just too much. You get too much drama in your life. There's
Well, you can blame
something...
you can blame my grandma for that because for Easter me and my friends went to Dallas for 3 days.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, I hope that situation gets resolved.
I will.
I'm sure
Tyler and Henry, I'll keep you posted. I'll keep everybody posted. I just I was like, and you did film my suite at the Kraken game. I was like, you got to. I was like,
Hopefully the Kraken have a better season next year. Just not the year that they wanted. But I'm glad I got to go with my dad to my first ever Kraken game.
I was playing your live reaction in my mom's car with her, and all I could hear was your friend Jimbo like laughing and talking, and my mom was laughing at it too.
Jimbo's at the draft, actually. He's actually in Detroit getting ready to attend the inner circle out there.
So is Captain Seahawk and his wife.
Oh,
I saw that.
They're in the green room
whatever his name is. I forget his name.
Captain Seahawk is also
No. It's the one that does it's not the day before the day or whatever his name is.
Who does the hype videos?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to the draft this year.
But who is it again? I forget their names.
Duhawk, Craig Duhawk.
Duhawk, yeah.
Yeah.
I know
Mr. Good guy.
Going.
I like him.
Yeah, Norm, you know Mr. Seahawk is going? The guy that wears the...
I know Mr. Seahawk. Are you talking about
he's
Captain
going.
or talking about Mr. Seahawk? Mr. Seahawk, Mrs. Seahawk, they've been fans since the 70s. I don't think they're going to the draft.
Yeah, they're going.
Oh, are they really?
I mean, I got two... Yeah, I saw it on Twitter, and I was like... So I called my two friends that live in Detroit, and they said they're going to the draft.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because in their city, so they got to go.
Well, I want to bring Roshi or Rishi. If you're available, Roshi, can you jump in? I would love to get just your take on the way this whole mock draft thing happened since you had such a big hand in it. Roshi, Rishi, how'd you feel about the way the draft went?
I think it went pretty good. We've been doing this every year since I think 2022, I want to say, 2022 we started doing this in your channel. 2020, back during the pandemic, we started doing like the mock off season and like we have like our own little like mock server that Horse, Cameron, Nick, all those guys started back during the pandemic, and we have like Discord members from Nordcord go to that server. We do like free agency in the draft there. We've been keeping that up, and now we have this. So we've been doing this kind of style mock draft since 2022, and this did feel a little bit different from the others considering our good old scout himself, Mr. Horse. Unfortunately, wasn't able to, do this like he usually does. Wherever he is, I just hope he's doing well. Cooking up some more W reports of all the players. Horse, if you're watching this, we miss
you, Horse. Book the tradition on this time.
Also, Cam, you mentioned something earlier about Chop Robinson not going in that first round, which
that's delicious.
Yeah, there were some surprises. I was surprised by.
I was wondering. I was thinking like, who else didn't go in the first?
Yeah, it was like
Jackson Powers Johnson.
Yeah, JPJ, my guy.
JPJ, yeah.
My guy.
He wasn't taken.
Was there anyone else? Like, I don't think.
I know.
Chop Robinson.
I don't know if Penix is going in the first round, so.
I mean,
you mentioned Jackson Powers Johnson. Yeah, he's one who's been typically going early. I think Xavier Worthy, that's kind of a lot earlier than expected.
I'd expect
Nick's
Xavier
and
Worthy
Penix are earlier than
already late in the first round.
reality might
I'd
be.
say Xavier Worthy would be like possibly that number 32 pick to the Chiefs there, but top
Yeah,
10.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, then you have that guy Graham something. I forget his name. I'm so horrible.
Graham Martin.
Yeah. I'm so horrible with names. I mean, as a former dog, I'm always gonna remember my Huskies.
Yeah.
I did not get because I did not get accepted into the University of Helio, and that's in Hawaii. So thank you for crushing my dreams down there.
Aw, sorry. Well, just dust yourself off and go for the next one.
Yeah, but
One door
I
closes,
absolutely
one
love.
opens.
I love the Washington. I love the Husky. I mean, I love taking care of Dubs because you get to work with all these former Seahawks, and I'm like, that's Jermaine Kearse. That's the guy that caught the ball during that one game.
He caught the ball, and then he threw it back into the audience. He did get that ball back, I think. I think he threw that the NFC Championship ball into the crowd, and I think he did get it back.
Yeah, he did. You're not allowed to. That's the problem. Like in baseball, you can keep the ball because I've gone to a ton of Mariner games, but you're not allowed to do that in football, and that's just so stupid.
But I think if a player, and if a ball's just errantly kicked into the crowd, you're not supposed to keep it. Like the ball, somebody goes over the net on an extra point, you have to give the ball back to the ushers and they bring it back in. But if a player, players will hand the ball off to somebody, they get to keep those balls because that's on the player giving it away. So I think that was considered a giveaway by
the MLB.
Kearse. But I still think afterwards, I think there was still he even said, I kind of just out of emotion threw it out there, but I was like, I actually want to keep that ball.
You got to give it back because they did write to the guy and say, hey, you have to give it back, and I'm just like. And I'm like, that was probably the best game I ever went to. I didn't even know you started YouTube back then because my friend introduced me to you back then.
Oh yeah, that was I just had finished my my first year doing YouTube was when that Packers NFC Championship game. So
yeah, because me and my friends were throwing that quote what Aaron Rodgers would say, and we would go and say, "We own you, we own you." So it was just like throwing the words into someone's face.
Yeah, Frank Gallagher.
We weren't
Frank Gallagher in the chat asks, "Who's the best wide receiver in the draft?" I think we kind of debated that. It could be Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors. I think the two of them are kind of take your pick. But you really can't go wrong with either of them.
I'd say Harrison.
Me too.
Yeah,
Harrison all day.
I'd have to say that one from Washington. You said he would go to the Seahawks, or I don't know. I'm losing my mind a bit.
Doomsday, he's going to go before the Seahawks, unless the Seahawks draft it up. But they're not going to spend that kind of resources for a receiver.
I could maybe see Jalen Polk or Jalen McMillan in a later round, but even that's a maybe. I don't think we're going to spend a pick on a wide receiver.
If we're going to take a Husky, it's going to be either Fatanu or in some crazy move.
It's either going to be Fatanu or it's going to be Rosengarten or it's going to be.
I do have a question for everybody. I mean, it's been a big thing, a big debate. What do you think of the Shohei Ohtani thing? The whole gambling.
I'm glad that it's over.
I don't really watch baseball, so I don't know.
So I don't know. I mean, I've heard about it, and I mean, I'm not
stealing money from Ohtani.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either it was all on the translator, and he just made some really bad decisions.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he's stealing Ohtani's money and spending it all on his opposing team. I think I heard. I was like, oh.
Yeah, but also you cannot spend the money for your own team to lose because that's so stupid. Because also Tyler, we just lost 5-1 to the Rangers. Dang it!
Oh, did we just lose? Oh,
the Mariners
so well.
We got third game tomorrow. I'm
back to 500.
Back to 500 in second place in the.
But the Houston Astros are doing so. I love it.
Houston Astros, man, bottom of the basement. It's too early to write them off, though. I say, but hopefully, if they can stay this way. You're gonna have to win the division if it stays like this because the wild card is gonna come from somewhere other than the AL West. The way the other teams
the second worst team in the AL other than the White Sox.
Yeah.
And I'm also celebrating. I'm gonna go to the Diamondbacks game when we come home. I'm gonna celebrate because my ear infection's gone.
Oh, well, good. You got something positive going on.
So happy this thing is gone. to make a doctor's appointment, I found a walk-in place because I'm not gonna sit there because my ear had been ringing and it wasn't from the game. I don't know what I did.
Oh wow!
And I'm just like, what the heck is going on?
My daughter used to have chronic ear infections. We'd go to the doctor every 5 months.
Oh,
and then have
which
to
one?
get my older daughter Sophie when she was young, like 1-2 years old, and then we finally had to get those ear tubes put in. She had those ear tubes put in, and that solved everything. But,
oh my god! I
would
was
go
like,
in, and she'd have to drink that. What's that pink? Amoxicillin, I think is what it was.
It's a
Amoxicillin.
I think it's amoxicillin. It's apparently very tasty. The kids love drinking it, but we were doing it every 6 months, and finally, we got the ear tube surgery, and then never had another ear infection after that. So
I mean, this is the second time I've had it. The last time I was in 3rd grade. I was around like 7, maybe 8 years old, and because my birthday's in September, and the school told my mom and said, you need to keep your daughter home because my throat was bothering me because apparently one of my teachers said, if you're having a problem with your throat, you're gonna have a problem with your ear. And I'm just like,
they're all interrelated.
Yeah, so, I've had the virus twice. So thanks, Mom and Auntie, for giving it to me.
Well, I'm glad to hear that it's finally wrapped up. But we're going to speaking of wrapping things up, we're going to wrap things up here as well. So final words from Cam and Huka before we sign off. Cameron, anything you want to add in terms of just kind of what you expect to see tomorrow? And what are you hoping the Seahawks do tomorrow when they're called at 16?
What I hope they do, this is such a lame answer, but I hope they pick the best player on their board or trade out of the first round and pick up a bunch of second-round picks.
In other words, you're covering all your bets here.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. You're not even giving me you're not going to give me one player name and say, I would love for them to pick
I'll give you
this
one
person.
Player. Yeah. That player is Chop Robinson. Actually, I got 2 players. Chop Robinson and actually, you know what? I'm gonna stick with Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson's my guy. That's my Devin Witherspoon pick. Hopefully, I can go 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I remember we did that in the last time we mocked things up. Yeah. Hugo, how about you? Who's your pick?
I mean, I'd cop out and give the same answer as Cam, but he took the words right out of my mouth. So either trade back and get a late first and maybe a late second to pair with it, or if I had to choose a player that I hope that they'd pick at 16, I'll go with a different edge. My guy Layatu Latu.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. I'm kind of saying the same thing. I hate to be a copycat, but I think part of me will get excited. I'd be disappointed but excited at the same time if they do trade back. I would love if they trade back, they somehow keep a late one, and then something else, somehow it's getting the second round. I don't know if that's possible. I know there's some potential combinations if the Eagles or the Packers maybe are really wanting to move up in the draft. But yeah, if they're gonna pick though, as much as Fatano would be great, I could see that one, and I would be okay with that as well. But Latu, I just think you can never have enough edge rushers, and it'd be great to have a game-changing edge rusher who you can just go, okay, we got a guy who's going to constantly be in the face of the quarterback. Boy, would that make the defense that much better, at least moving forward for a guy to have for years to come. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be fun. Draft tomorrow. So, again, I'll be live streaming with my buddy Pat, the NFL draft tomorrow. Maybe bringing some of you guys in if you want to jump in, and we can talk a little bit when the real pick is made at 16 or the trade is made at 16, and we can talk about it live as it happens. But that is it. So, again, special thanks to the Discord crew, particularly Roshi/Rishi for putting together the slides for the presentation and organizing the GMs. And, of course, to Cameron Hughes and Huka, also known as Giyu, for helping break down the analysis of these players taken in this 2024 final NFL mock draft before we do the real thing tomorrow. That's it. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. So thanks, guys, for being on here, and we'll see you all later at the draft. Go Hawks, baby.